Welcome back to Learning JavaScript with me, your host, Paul Baumgarten. And we are using coding with Chrome again, continuing on with where we left off. So we have learnt some basics about using statements and comments. We have learnt about variables and the different kinds of assignment and manipulation we can perform with them. We've learnt about number variables, string variables, Boolean variables. We've learnt about loops, and we were using all sorts of crazy stick person drawings last video to do that. This time we're going to finally get a little interactive with our program and have a program that actually does something for us, as well as learning about if statements selection and selection. So let's get started. I've got a blank coding with Chrome project window open, as you can see. So let's draw a circle, and we'll put this circle with in coordinates 200, 200 for now, and let's give it a radius of about 50. Shall we make a bright red circle with a white border? Okay, excellent. Nothing new there at all. Now, there's very few programs in the world that will run in terms of drawing something on the screen and then stop. Okay? Most programs that are non-trivial will require some kind of interaction with the user, the person who's running the program. Very boring program if all it does is start and then do its thing and then stop, and the person doesn't get to do anything with it. So straight away, how about we have a program that responds to the mouse and let us move a little circle around the screen on the basis of where we move our mouse. And the way we do this in JavaScript is through a tool known as an event handler or an event listener. So I am going to write document dot add event listener, open brackets, open double quotes, mouse move, all one word, all lowercase, close the quotes, comma, and here I'll just write go. Close the bracket, semicolon. All right, now at the moment we're getting an error down the bottom here, unquote reference error, go is not defined. All right, let's just take a quick look at what is going on here. So document basically refers to my program area, okay, the area where my program will run, and within my document there is a function that is made available as part of the document called add event listener, which hopefully intuitively by its name, right, will listen for an event. Now, what is the event that it's listening for is the first parameter, and then what to do when it hears that event happen is the second parameter. So we are listening for the mouse move event, which is an event that will trigger anytime the mouse moves over the document. Excellent. Now this word mouse move, all lowercase, all one word, this is just an arbitrary code. Okay, it is something that the creators of JavaScript just decided to call. They needed to come up with names for all the different events, and when they were writing JavaScript, they just decided, let's call for the event when the mouse is moving, let's just call it mouse move, all one word, all lowercase. So you just need to know what the arbitrary names for the events are that you're looking for. There's other events such which we'll use as well, such as click. There's events for the keyboard. There's a whole pile of events. I have a list of some of the most common events you're more likely to use on the cheat sheet that I will have posted in the YouTube comments. Right, so this is the event we're listening for. We're listening for when the mouse moves. Fairly self-explanatory. Then this is what we want it to do when it detects, when it has heard that this event has happened of mouse moving. So we want it to do go. What does that exactly mean, do go? Okay, in this case, what we're saying is look for the function called go and execute it. All right, we learned about functions in a previous video. So let's create a function and call that function go. Open brackets. Okay, I now have a function go, and now my program is no longer creating an error because this function go exists, which mouse move is looking for, the event listener is looking for. Now I move my mouse over here and nothing happens. Let's cut this code that draws the circle and paste it into my go function. Okay, so now I will draw a circle whenever I move the mouse over the document. So if I take my mouse pointer and move it over the document, oh look, I'm drawing a circle, and that's it, and draw the circle. That's very exciting. How about we make it actually draw the circle wherever the mouse is? Well, it's just so happens JavaScript has tools built in to help us with that. Now, one thing that we didn't do when we wrote our declaration for the function go was put any parameters here. And it just so happens that JavaScript, the authors of JavaScript were clever enough to know that whenever events happen, the program is probably going to want to know some information regarding that event. And so it was decreed that the first parameter of a function that was written as an event handler will contain a whole pile of information about that event. So if I put a parameter here, and I can call it E, short for event, or I could call it event if I wanted to. Okay, that parameter now contains a whole pile of information for me. So, for example, if I just do a command write on a couple of things, we could look at event dot offset x with a capital X. And now, if I move my mouse over here, the write command isn't really the best for illustrating this, but basically this is producing a whole series of X values for wherever I'm moving my mouse. I can do the same with Y. 78, so my Y value is about 78, 80 now. If I suddenly go down, it's going to increase. We can see here there was 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, and so on. So I can use this offset X, this offset Y. Right? They are the locations that the mouse pointer is when the mouse move event happens. So how about, instead of just writing them on the screen and having them scroll across like crazy, how about I draw my circle where the mouse is? Event dot offset X and event dot offset Y. And now when I move over my document, I'll have a circle that follows me. Isn't that cool? I'm getting a nice trail happening here. I can draw some kind of weird out there pattern. Of course, if I didn't want the white outline, I can just change the stroke of my circle. Let's make this red instead. So now I'm drawing a red circle with a red outline, and I'll just have a nice smooth red blob that I can be coloring in my screen with. Woohoo! Okay, so I have a little bit of interaction happening with my mouse. Now, like I said, there's a whole pile of different event listeners, so instead of mouse move, I can run this on mouse click. Now, whenever I click my mouse, I will get a red circle. All right, fantastic. How about we start combining some of these things together? How about I keep mouse move to draw my circle, but I create another one, document.add event listener, that will run when I click. And this might clear the screen. All right. Well, how would I clear the screen? All right, so I need a clear screen function. Okay, and I could clear the screen just by drawing a big fat rectangle over the whole thing. That might be the easiest way. So from 0, 0, top left corner, through to, I don't know, what do you reckon? It's about 500 by 500? I think it's bigger than that actually, isn't it? And I'm going to draw white. Let's test it and see, shall we? So if I go down to the extremities with my red, click my mouse, there's my 500 by 500. So, of course, this will vary depending upon the size of the screen that you're actually using. Let's try the 600. Almost. I think you get the idea. How about instead of clearing the screen, all right, how about we have a change color function? That sounds like a fun thing to do. Now, a couple of other things we're going to want to do with this then. Instead of having strings here, or fixed strings that just say red and red, how about we have a current color equals red. And so then here, instead of having the hard-coded typed out value, we use our string variable. All right? It's about time we use some string variables. Okay, if I draw on the screen, uncaught reference error, current string is not, oops, I called it current color and then I typed current string because I was talking to you about the fact that they were string variables. So let's fix that up. And now, yes, okay, everything still works. Excellent. All right, so click change color. Well, so let's just put in here current color equals green. Okay, so now hopefully if I move across the document, I get red, and once I click my mouse, I start getting green. Fantastic. The problem is now if I click my mouse again, I'm still going to keep getting green because every time I click, it just says change screen. What if I could get it to rotate through a whole bunch of different colors? This is where we need to introduce the if statement, because I want to check to see what color I'm currently using, and on that basis I can tell it to use something else. So let's first start off with having to alternate between red and green for every time I click. So in my change color, I can say, okay, if, open brackets. Now, so inside the brackets it goes an expression or a condition that I'm wanting to check. And if this condition is true, it will run the code that I have after my if statement. So I am wanting to say if the current color is red, all right, a double equal sign means I'm checking for a comparison. A single equal sign means I am assigning the value. All right, double equal sign for checking comparison. One equals means grab this, put it in here. Double equals means look at this, are they the same? True or false? All right, important difference. All right, so if the current color is red, right, and then just like our functions in our for loops before them, right, I use my curly braces to decide to define the next block of code that's going to be executed with this if statement. So if this thing is true, run the code that is between these curly braces. All right, so in that case, I'm going to say current color. Let's make it green. Okay, now that should behave exactly as what I already had, because if the color is green, if the color is red, it's going to set it to green, and that's all that's going to happen. So over here, click the mouse, set it to green, fantastic. Click the mouse again, nothing happens because this is set to false. This equates to false, so this never executes. Nothing else happens. It hits the end of the function. Fortunately, the if statements also come with a way of having a fallback. Right? So if this is true, then we'll execute what goes behind here. But otherwise, if it's not true, or else, if it's not true, then run whatever's in this code block. All right, and in this code block, I'm going to say current color equals red. So let's think about this for a second. If current color equates to red, if this statement is true, then set the color to green. Otherwise, if the statement is not true, in other words, the color is not currently red, then set the color to red. Right? And since the only time the color is not going to be red is when it's green, it basically means every time this function runs, it's going to alternate between green and red, green and red. Shall we test it? Over onto the document, draw a circle, click, green circle, click, red, fantastic, click, green, click, red, beautiful. Okay. Can we take this even further? Yes, we can. All right. Let's finish coloring in my screen just for the sake of it. We really should have a good little Christmas tree though, shouldn't we? But to have a Christmas tree, we need more colors than green and red. We need brown branches. We need golden decorations. Let's get some extra colors going, shall we? All right, enough wasting time there. Okay. We can make our if statement further complicated. So there's a couple of different ways we could do this, and it's important that you recognize both methods because chances are, if you're looking at other people's code, you'll see the different methods in action. All right. So in addition to if this is true, run this, otherwise run this. All right. We can also have an else if. Oops, and I have one too many open brackets. There we go. All right. So let me put in here current color green, current color yellow. Okay, let's explain what's going on here. If the current color is red, run this code, sets the current color to green. Now, as soon as some condition within the if statement has been found to be true and it's executed its block of code, JavaScript will then abort the rest of the if statement. So if the current color was red, it will set current color to green and then abort. So it will never get to this check. Okay. But if the current color was green and so it's gone through and we've been drawing some green, okay, so let's see, we got some red, click, draw some green. Now, if I click again, so the current color is currently set to green. Let's see, let's look what will happen. So, if current color is equal to red, false. So this part is not going to run. Else, if current color is set to green, true. So it will should now run this block of code. And then finally we have this else here, which is if none of these are true, then do that. Okay, so back over here we've got our green. Let's click, and now I'm getting a yellow. All right, and now if I click on the yellow, so current color is currently set to yellow. So if current color is red, false. Else, if current color is green, false. Else, set the current color to red. So if I'm over here and I click, why did my dictionary just open? Sorry, my computer has just done funny things. And I've just clicked multiple times. There we go. Okay. So red, click once, I get green. Click another time, I get yellow. Click again, and I'm back to red. All right. Don't know what happened with my computer there. It just went really funny for a second. Sorry about that. All right, so we could keep building this up and up and up. The easy way to do this would just be, this is the part that keeps repeating. All right. Well, let's do it properly. Let's type it. Okay. Close off this block. Else, if current color is yellow, then current color equals blue. All right, so now we should go from red to green to yellow to blue and back again. Over here, red to green to yellow to blue and back again. Fantastic. Okay, now I said there was another way of doing this that you should be able to recognize. So let's just function other color change. So we won't get rid of that other code. It might be handy to compare it later on. Notice how we're not actually using the event data. How about we play with that this time? Okay, so other color change. So let's change the function that we're running, other color change. So now we're not running this function down here. In fact, just to be really sure about it, let's comment it out, shall we? Other color change. Okay, so if current color is, well, open my quotes, red. All right, current color can be set to green. Else, current color is equal to red. All right, so we're back to the red, green, red, green. Let's test it. Red, green, red, green. Okay. So we can have if statements inside of if statements inside of if statements. This thing can get gnarly. To be honest, if you're doing it probably more than a couple of levels and it's taking up more than just a few lines of code, you're going to want to do it as functions so that you can abstract the complexity out. But for the sake of argument, what we can do here, okay, if we wanted to reproduce one of this kind of thing, all right, we know that this block of code executes whenever the current color is not red. So I could come into here and say, instead of doing else if, I could say if current color equals green, Then set current color to magenta. All right. Else, let's get rid of this line. All right. Else, if current color equals cyan. We've never used cyan before, or magenta. All right, if it's cyan, well then here, let's set it to magenta. No, sorry, in this case, let's set this to red. We've got to get back to red. Else, in this case, what do we got? Magenta, cyan. So we've got to, well, we're getting set to magenta. We're not doing anything with it. Let's set, but we need to end up on cyan. So let's go current color. And I'm just messing around here to show you that the order in which you do these don't necessarily matter. It doesn't have to be red, green, green, yellow, yellow, blue, like I had back down there. All right. But you can see that the indenting starts getting crazy here as well, because I've got an if statement inside an if statement inside an if statement. But if I'm over here, red, green, magenta, cyan, red. Okay, fantastic. So have some fun with that. See what you can do with adding event listeners for moving the mouse, clicking the mouse, and having some if statements going. Now, before I do wrap up entirely and leave you to experiment on your own, let's do one last little thing. We've been bringing in this event parameter all this time, but we haven't been doing anything with it. So let's have a go at quickly using that. So function color change using event data. Gee, that's a mouthful. All right. So, in fact, it's so much of a mouthful, I'm just going to copy and paste rather than typing it out again. All right, this time, how about we use the X value to determine what color we're going to get. All right, so we know that the X value in an event is event.offsetX. So if event.offsetX, let's say if it's less than 100, then we can set the current color to red. Else, all right, let's do else ifs so we don't get crazy in indenting. Else if event offset x is, say, less than 200. Now, you might think, well, hang on, if it's less than 200, what happens if it's 50? It's going to be less than 100 and it's going to be less than 200. Which of these is going to happen? All right, well, let's think about it. Like I said, when an if statement X, once one part of an if statement is true and it just run that block of code, it will abort the rest of the if statement. So let's see what would happen if the X value is 50. All right, we come in here. Event offset X less than 100. Yes, that is true. Current color equals red. We get this assignment happening, and then we abort the rest of the if statement, and we will exit the function. Okay, so this code here will only run if it's bigger than 100 and less than 200. All right, and that's one of the nice things about thinking through the order in which you do write your if statements. They can come in quite handy in that regard. Okay, so less than 200. Let's see, current color is equal to cyan. Okay, yep. Else if event.offset x less than 300. Current color is equal to yellow. How many of these do we want? Else if event.offset x is less than 400. Current color is equal to, we haven't had pink yet. Magenta is fairly similar though, isn't it? Else if event offset x less than 500. Remembering we discovered that my screen went up to about, well, a bit past 600, didn't it? Current color equal to orange. Orange, let's spell it correctly, otherwise JavaScript will have a hissy fit over that. Else, so finally, if none of those are true, let's set the current color to boring gray. All right. So let's move over into my document. I'm drawing a red circle, which I expected because my current color started as red. But my X, I'm changing my X all the time and none of the colors are changing. Why is that? Let's remember that this function has been set to an event of click. So I have to click the mouse. All right, so I click the mouse here and I'm still in red territory. Let's move over here and look, I'm in cyan territory, and so I can draw cyan all over my screen. Let's move over here and I'm in yellow territory. What about at the end? I'm in grey territory. We haven't seen the pink or the orange yet, so this, what do you reckon this is about? Orange territory. If I click here, yep, which means around about here should be pink, and it is. That's not a very nice pink. But there you have it, my multicolor drawing program. So have some fun with that, and I will see you next time. This is Mr. Baumgarten signing off.